by Mad Voice and Data Consulting for Business. Call Patrick Antonio at 407-283-7832 or email him at patrick@madvoicedata.com. So we're going to spend most of the time with the Q&A. You know me and policing, so we're going to have to talk about that.
Very nice to meet you. What was your name?
Anastasia.
Nice to meet you.
I'm the general manager here.
Oh, that's awesome. Very nice to meet you. Hi. How you doing?
Good.
We're also here for the Sanford Mayoral Q&A being held by the Sanford Chamber of Commerce.
As far as the food review, I ordered the blackened chicken Caesar wrap. All right, so this thing looks fantastic. I was just asked to rate it, which is literally what we're doing.
What makes you best qualified to be mayor? Can you identify the 3 biggest issues the city faces and your position on each? Given the historical tensions between law enforcement and the community, how will you balance increasing police presence with building trust? And do you support specific alternative response models for nonviolent calls?
FM. This is the Sanford Sitdown. Thanks for hanging out. Thankful that you're here. My name is DJ Zwane. This is the Sanford Sitdown. We do the show about once a month, and we cover a few of the stories that I think should be covered. Today, we're going to be covering of another sloth that was at the Central Florida Zoo. If you were paying attention to the sloth drama of the last few months locally, the Central Florida Zoo came in to the rescue because some irresponsible people from Sloth World, an attraction that never even got off the ground, and ended up killing a bunch of sloths. And, of course, the Central Florida Zoo coming in like champs and saving some of the sloths. Unfortunately, Willow has passed away. So, that was June 16th, so that was a couple of weeks ago. Like I said, a monthly show, so this is what we do. The Central Florida Zoo and Botanical Gardens is saddened to announce the passing of Willow, one of the sloths that arrived at the zoo from Sloth World on April 24th. Oh, wow, that was back in April. Holy crap. Over the past several days, Willow's health declined despite ongoing veterinary treatment and intensive supportive care. Yeah, but, Central Florida Zoo has saved a bunch of them. And even then, apparently, there was some sort of thing where they were trying to, the state government was trying to cut their funding or something. I don't know. Something ridiculous, of course, because of course. So that's a sad one. A weird story. We're going to spend most of today with the mayoral Q&A. So I'm going to go through the mayoral Q&A. I kind of did an abbreviated version of it with all of the questions. So we're going to go through all the questions, and I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on the whole thing. So, let's see here. That's oh, God. So Becca on the Twitch just posted, if it's the Sanford Sitdown, why are you standing, bro? I'm going to tell Bane that you said that because I should have actually objected to the standing desk situation, but I do like it better. It's a better look. So it's the Sanford Sitdown with me standing, apparently. Oh God, that's so funny. I can't believe I missed that. That is such a wow. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna spend most of the time with the Q&A because I want to see. I want to go through each and every question because this town is the biggest town in Seminole County. Believe it or not, Sanford is 65,000 people, and there are 2 people running for mayor right now. And the mayor before them, Art Woodruff, has been there for friggin' ever. 15 years, something like that. Anyway, or no, less than that. Anyway, doesn't matter. More years than I think any government official should be in office, but that's another story for another time. Now we have Christina Hollerbach and we have Charles Davis. I actually met Charles Davis while I was doing the Sanford Sitdown food review, so you're going to see a little clip of that. Brewlando in Sanford, shout out to them. Great job hosting the Charles Davis, Christina Hollerbach Q&A. I guess at Sanford Main Street will be doing a debate, and I believe that will be done at the Civic Center And it will be open to the public, so and it'll be done at a time when more people could go in, because this was definitely more for the business owners and for people that were part of the chamber and chamber adjacent people. So yeah, shout out to the Sanford Chamber of Commerce for holding that. But before we get into all of that, let's take a look at this other story. Because they do talk about policing here, and you know me and policing, so we're going to have to talk about that. I might even extend an olive branch in this episode to policing. But anyway, police officers remove ball python from Florida apartment. Two Sanford police officers responded to an unusual call on June 22nd after a large python was discovered inside an apartment building bathroom. The Sanford Police Department shared a viral photo of the successful rescue on Facebook, humorously reminding the community that their officers are always ready to handle criminal, critter, or unexpected guests. Ball pythons are non-native pet snakes, but are not considered invasive. The FWC urges residents to report sightings and never release them into the wild. So that's, let's pull up the picture here. So yeah, this is the picture that the Sanford Police Department posted. So there's that. That's a big ass snake. And that lady is looking way too thrilled and not scared. I would be scared for my life, honestly. That happened. That's a cool little story. Also, the other story that we're going to be covering here real quick is one dead in a deputy-involved shooting at a Sanford block party. So, Seminole County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed an armed individual after gunfire erupted at a large block party in Sanford's Midway neighborhood early Sunday morning. Deputies were attempting to disperse a noise complaint and crowd on Sipes Avenue. Okay, a noise complaint crowd on Sipes Avenue when two gunmen began actively exchanging shots within the gathering. So they were shooting at each other, not at the cops, I guess. One suspect was killed by the deputies' return fire, and two bystanders suffered non-life-threatening injuries, prompting an independent investigation by the FDLE. The sheriff's office said its deputy found himself in the middle of a rapidly evolving situation involving gunfire at a block party and shot an armed subject, hitting him. Wow. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. You can't just be popping off like that. You're gonna get shot. Let's do the food review first. I think we should do the food review first. Let's do that, because the food review is of Brewlando and it happened before the actual event. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Welcome to another Sanford Sit-Down food review. This time we are at Brewlando, Sanford.
Very nice to meet you. What was your name?
Anastasia.
Nice to meet you.
I'm the general manager here.
Oh, that's awesome. Very nice to meet you. Hey, Zwain. Hi. How you doing?
Good.
We're also here for the Sanford mayoral Q&A being held by the Sanford Chamber of Commerce.
All right, so Brewlando is closed right now for the mayoral Q&A. Apparently, Justin Bynum dropped out, and there's only two people, Charles and Christina. As far as the food review, I ordered the blackened chicken Caesar wrap with onion rings. It was kind of like a compromise. I'm trying to be healthier. I just went to Dr. Mahan. Shout out Family Tree Primary Care.
Also my doctor.
Also her doctor, also Christina's doctor. He said that I should eat healthier, even though I'm pretty healthy. So I made a compromise, Doc. Blackened chicken Caesar wrap. I got the onion rings, and I got a Diet Coke, so no shirting. Anyway, let's see what this Q&A is gonna look like. Oh look, Raul's here, Shelly's here, Greg Runge is here. The gang's all here. All right, so this thing looks fantastic. I was just asked to rate it, which is literally what we're doing. This is what we got. We got the onion rings. I'm an onion ring boy. That looks good. So this is the blackened chicken Caesar wrap. I love the presentation too. I love that. Very good. Look at that. Now, this place used to be Sanford Brewing Company, and they had a great black and blue ribbon. I mean, like the tortilla feels good. The lettuce is fresh. I was like, let's give it a try. Here we go. Salud. Oh, wow. Again, very fresh. The lettuce, very flavorful. Really like this. This is... Now for the onion ring. I was looking for another place that had a good blackened chicken Caesar wrap. There are other places here that have really good chicken Caesar wrap, a few of them. Now that I'm going on this healthy kick, this is right at the top of the list. I think we should have like croutons, and I'm sure I'm probably could add it, I guess. I don't know. That's my only note for this. I wish it had like some croutons on, which I'm sure would be less healthy, I guess, but whatever. I like croutons. The flavor of the chicken is really good. I think the chicken looks like it's shredded, which I'm not really used to, but very, very good. The tortilla itself, that's the thing about wraps in general. The integrity of the tortilla is important, and they have that. I'm gonna try another onion ring. Brewlando, obviously, they have an Orlando location, and they have this one in Sanford, and it looks like they've been assimilating to the Sanford culture pretty well. I met the GM. Shout out Anastasia. Hey, Charles, how are you, man?
Yes,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's Charles Davis, the guy running for mayor. The whole reason we're here. Anyway, shout out to Anastasia, the GM. She saw the Sanford Sitdown teas. The first impression was me asking if I had no pants on. Anyway, whatever. First impressions are first impressions. 8.5 on the wrap, 9 for the onion rings. Phenomenal onion rings. If the wrap had a couple croutons in there, it would raise it a little bit better. But until then, it's an 8.5, which is solid. That is a solid score. I don't think I've given a 10. Very well done. Shout out to Brewlando Sanford. Now let's go check out this mayoral Q&A and see what's what.
So yeah, that is the Sanford Sit-Down food review of Brewlando Sanford. Shout out to Shara and to Anastasia, Shara the owner, Anastasia the general manager. I mean, just a bang up job. They had a great turnout for the Q&A, and shout out to the Sanford Chamber of Commerce, who put that together. That was very, very awesome. So thank you to them. And speaking of which, why don't we start, because it is an hour long. Let's start this review, shall we?
Question number 1. We'll start with Christina. And what makes you best qualified to be mayor?
First of all, thank you for having us, and thank you to everybody in the room for taking time out of your day to come learn about both of us and what we want to offer the city. I think what I joke about it, but I think what qualifies me for mayor is also hospitality. I'm in a unique position to have a job where I manage over 160 people. I'm used to making decisions that will equally make as many people happy as it makes upset, which is something that you really need to understand as anyone in leadership, especially in the public forum, that you have to make tough choices that not everyone will like. But also that I get a great diversity of people that I've had to manage and have an opportunity to work with. And I'm really thankful for those experiences to really help me understand what this job is. Besides my work in the private sector, I've also been on numerous nonprofit boards and community boards, so I understand the difference between public and private, what those partnerships can look like, what nonprofit management looks like, what designing by a committee and all of those things can be. So I think I've gathered a really nice selection of experiences and opportunities that make me very qualified for this position. And honestly, too, with both the nonprofit work and with private sector, I've had lots of interactions with city government as an applicant, whether that was through construction permits, grant applications, or just showing up to a meeting to try and get my fence fixed. So I've had a lot of interactions from both sides as an applicant and working with the city on committees. So I really appreciate all that knowledge that I can better serve people. And basically, what I've learned a lot about myself is I love the underneath and the why and the systems. So when I see a system that is broken, but there's good people on either side just trying to make that system work, I want to fix that system. So when I see these permitting issues, when I see this stuff, I don't just go, well, that sucks and we got to deal with it. I go, why? Let's get on a committee, let's make a task force, let's figure out why this is not working so that we can fix it. So I have not lost that enthusiasm for trying to find better ways to get things done and help people achieve what they want to in their communities.
Solid answer. Solid answer.
Same for me. Thank you for having us. Chamber, thank you for hosting this. This place, Brewlando, remember the Sanford Brewery.
I was just about to go copycat.
Turned around, it is great. One of the things that makes me, I think, qualified for mayor is that I've started 2 businesses within Sanford, and I've started 2 businesses, successful businesses with Sanford. I have I've worked in the private sector. I've also volunteered. I served on the CRA for over 15 years, which actually transformed our...
By the way, I had to do a couple different cameras because the GoPro was dying, and it was just a whole ton of stuff.
Downtown into what it is today. Very proud of that. I served on the Seminole County Sheriff's Community Foundation Board, I've been active working within the city. I have listened to people come to me every single time they're trying to do something within Sanford and complain. And I've learned how to help them navigate through Sanford to get things done. I fully believe that the best way we can move forward is 100% by going and having City Hall work for the people, and we have forgotten how to do that. And that's what I intend to bring as mayor, is that City Hall remembers that our customers are the citizens of Sanford, and I think we've forgotten that.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Christina. Okay. Can you identify the 3 biggest issues the city faces and your position on each? And we'll start with Charles.
So really, there's 3 issues I believe Sanford is. Number 1 is leadership. We lack leadership right now. The city of Sanford is moving forward, but we're not doing it. I always say we're reactive, we're never proactive. And we never take the initiative to get out in front of something. We wait till it blows up in our face and then we try to fix it. And I don't think anything ever good comes out of that. Growth is another factor. Sanford right now has the Lake Merritt Boulevard corridor that is expanding. That is our true next growth area. And if we don't work at making sure that the proper growth happens out there, we're going to be sitting around wondering what happened. And that's what we can't have. The other thing is public. And we have this bass thing that keeps kicking right next to it. The other thing is City Hall. I said it in my opening thing. City Hall has forgotten who their customers are, and their customers are the citizens, and we need to make.
Okay, that's a solid statement, and that's true. I mean, I guess that I agree with him on.
Sure that what we're doing down at City Hall is easier for our customers to work through.
I agree a lot, and I've said this before because both of us have run campaigns before. I'm not running against somebody, I'm running for the position. And ultimately, we're all recognizing very similar issues with the goal to try and fix them, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But for me, it's definitely infrastructure and water quality. And then it's gonna go to transparency and communication as that second initiative. But the third thing for me, back to leadership, is it's culture. And I've said this so many times, even before I knew I wanted to run, is I want a city that says yes if instead of no because. If you come down the city with an idea or a request or a solution and you just hear, well, no, because blah, 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 that's, you want to serve the people. And right now, I don't think that culture exists. When somebody comes down with an interesting solution or a problem they have, I want to hear, well, yes, if we fill out these forms, if we get this thing. There should always be parameters to make sure that we're just not saying yes to everybody willy-nilly, but we need to approach people with the idea of collaboration and helpfulness and not roadblocks. And I think if we address that culture issue and that leadership issue first, a lot of these other issues with infrastructure, water quality, permit processing, those will go away if we get the right culture that rewards efficiency, collaboration, and communication instead of just this is the status quo.
Yeah. No notes.
How do you plan to work with the business community in Sanford to promote growth and development?
I've already talked about public-private partnership and collaboration, but that's key. The city is huge. We have growth. We have, 65,000 people and growing exponentially. So the city, to me, their responsibility is that infrastructure and those really bare minimums of what we consider city services. For promoting businesses and doing all that, they need to fund and allocate support to public-private partnerships that focus on those things, just like our chambers, just like our main streets. There's so many ways and so much love and enthusiasm in the community. We need to support those initiatives so that they have a larger reach. And of course, I'm a former Sanford Main Street president and still very involved with them on a committee level. And I think that's one of our strongest assets that's underutilized and underfunded. DeLand, for instance, they fund theirs to the tune of almost $375,000, $500,000 a year, so that they can put on those events, they can promote the businesses. And we know marketing is expensive, right? You can't get that reach outside of your area to these voices without money. And a lot of times in nonprofits, that marketing budget is the first thing they cut because they want to be able to provide these services. So I think it is about public-private partnership. Who's doing the work already, and how can the city support them to keep those initiatives going strong?
Thank you.
Promoting businesses, I've done that. I served as chair for the chamber, this chamber. I was on this board for quite a few years, served 2 years as chair. Private business, private-public partnerships are a necessity. But the other thing that needs to be a necessity is the fact that when you go through planning, you go through zoning, you go through all that you can get through it. And that's our roadblock. Most businesses, when they come into our town, they already have a marketing budget, and they're ready to go. The problem I feel is that what we do is we eat into their marketing budget because they can't get through our planning department, and they can't get through the permitting department. And so that is something that has to be fixed. It has to be fixed right out of the gate if you're going to actually make a difference. If you're going to make a difference. Promoting businesses, the chamber, Main Street, I've had involvement with all of those groups. I have not served on Main Street, but I was with Christina when she was starting it. We also moved it over and worked on starting the Main Street over in Goldsboro. It's getting the word out. The chambers and Main Street are getting the word out to promote businesses. Look at this function right here. You guys are all business members who are.
I gotta say, it's really refreshing to see a debate between two politicians, even if it's a small local, town, that they're just like, yeah, we agree on a lot of stuff. I mean, I disagree with stuff from both of them. I mostly agree with her, but I mostly agree with Christina. But still, it's one of those things where it's like it's refreshing to see the positive nodding from Christina. Even though they're both running for the position, like she said earlier. They're not running against each other kind of thing.
Being promoted. Now the city has to get behind you enthusiastically and promote as well.
Thank you, Charles. Okay. The city has been criticized for its failure to provide support to festivals like Porch Fest and the Air Show at the airport. What do you believe the proper role of the city is for these types of events?
We go to talking about events. I love events. I've been an event guy. I did the Sanford Bike Fest for 13 years, and I used to go beg the city for support. I understand that the city has to come out and for police and fire, public safety, I get that portion of it. You have to have that, and a lot of times you say it's a little bit of overkill, and then I follow up with, if you'd have thought that somebody would have driven through the parade at Winter Garden, I understand that portion of it. But as far as supporting the people that are doing events that are bringing people to your town, the city needs to be behind that. As a CRA, we used to fund just about every event that happened within downtown. And I did it by getting beat up on 90% of the time for doing that. The air show brings a numerous amount of people into town, and not to pick too much, but I watched a little bit between public safety and everything going on and the bickering back and forth, and I think that, once again, what I said before is I think we've forgotten who our customers are, and we need to remember who we're serving, and that it's not a pain to have to do an event. It's what brings people to our town, and it's what's defining us as a town.
See, I agree with him on that.
Downtown Sanford, because 90% of the time there's an event happening.
I agree with him there.
Every single weekend. When we first got started with Live After 5 back in the day, we were just trying to get people to show up on a Thursday. And there was,
I remember Live
Monday,
After
Tuesday,
5,
Wednesday,
man.
nobody was here. Thursday, nobody was here. Friday, Saturday was a little bit hit and miss. But we have to support those events. And the CRA filled that gap, and I kept warning them, when it ends, funds got to come from somewhere, and there just doesn't seem to be a lot of drive for that. And that is something, as mayor, I would definitely support, is to support events within reason. Can't fund them all, but I've always felt like what we did with the CRA. The only thing we're going to pay for are the city services. Let's help out the community with the city services, and that's what we need to work on.
Again, agree with him on that.
I agree wholeheartedly, and obviously been an applicant for many events and on the boards of many still current events. And we actually just had a meeting with Circus Special Events Recreation Committee with the City of Sanford, and they met with lots of us, including Emma Green, I see out there, and some other people that throw events here in Sanford.
Yeah, I had already played that one, so it's fine.
And Porch Fest. So
I'll fix it in post.
they are meeting us at the table and trying to have these conversations, but it always stops with who's going to pay for it. I'm not going to argue the public safety factor. Of course, there's conditions in the world where we need to
have presence there to make sure people are safe. That is never in question. No one ever wants to throw an event that is not safe to the public. But if we're getting estimates from the city that a one-day event without alcohol costs $45,000 in just police fees,
45 grand,
then I want the city to pony up and pay some of that cost. If you look, and we did case studies, if you look at other similar cities across Central Florida and even across the nation of similar size and style, they put money towards these endeavors because they know it is quality of life. It is an advertisement for the city. It's why people move here. I mean, how many people heard a resident that moved here because they went to a special event in Sanford, right? Was it a historic trust event? Was it a Porch Fest event? You come here because you want to be a part of something bigger where people care about each other, where they know their neighbors. So these events do generate profit for some private sector. They do generate scholarships and opportunities for other, but that is only one part of this iceberg that is special events. And it is about creating a good quality of life, and it's something that we need to support more than anything else. And I get, again, the city's huge and has lots of different concerns. So allocate funding to make sure that these public-private partners that only want to do the work get the help. There's other cities that beg for the kind of attention and collaboration that's available here. And how do we get events like Sanford has? Most of the events here are done through the people who live here. So we need to continue to find ways to support them.
A ton of people, or a ton of people talk about, they compare their towns to, this is like a mini Sanford.
What is your opinion about the 4-day work week city workers currently work, and would you keep it or change back to a 5-day work week?
This one's a tough one.
I see some city employees in the room, and I'm so sorry. I understand when people hear 4-day work week, they think, oh, they're only 9 to 5 in that 4 days. They do have extended hours within that 4 days, so they are there and they're doing work. So I don't want to discount the efforts that are already occurring. However, that was a choice made in a rough time with budget issues, recession.
And I think we are long past that time.
Whoopsie daisy.
The world moves at a pace faster than any of us could have ever imagined, and it's not getting any slower. So having available services that match the needs of the community is paramount. And right now, a 4-day work week does not serve that. And I know that there are some services available within those 5 days.
When I looked at working for the city, dodged bullet. It was because I mean, like, there was a ton of things that would have gone wrong, but also one of the things that enticed me was like 4-day week, huh? 4-day week, all right.
And they feel,
but the juice ain't worth the squeeze, as far as I'm concerned.
Like they're doing a nice hybrid balance. It is not enough, and I always joke about, especially with permitting. Right, so everyone knows, you come back from the 3 days off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're playing catch up. All Mondays, checking in with your teams, talking to people, reading emails. Tuesday, you got to find out what happened at commission meetings, so now you're in meetings all day. Wednesday, maybe you're going to finally get some work done. Thursday, it's the last day of your work week, you're already done. So you have this little tiny window on Wednesdays to maybe get to somebody and get an answer, and that's not serving our community. Like both of them saying, we forgot who our guests are. We are supposed to serve the people. It is not us versus them. We need to change our availability to match the needs of the community.
Raise your hand out there if you work 5 days a week.
I remember my first part-time job.
7, 6, 7.
Okay, seriously?
My kids would be very proud of me.
No, they would not. It's no longer cool.
Quite honestly,
No.
they did it back in 2008 because they thought of budget restraints. It was supposed to be short term. You cannot function in 4 days a week. They're supposed to be there 12 or 10-hour days. Go to City Hall at 7:30 in the morning, and the cleaners aren't even there. The doors are locked. You get there at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and nobody's there. Try to get a permit, an inspection on a Friday. They'll tell you, yes, you can call it in, but I had somebody call in one time, and they said, call in and ask for a permit on Friday. And they said, we'd like to get an inspection for Friday, an inspection. And they came back and they said, well, we're closed on Friday, but if you would like We can have our inspector come in on his day off, inspect your property. What person in their right mind is going to have
What an asshole
on their day off and inspect you? You're guaranteed to fail. We need to be there 5 days a week. City Hall, if you're a private sector and you want to open 3 days a week, that is fine. But when you are a public sector where people are paying water bills and needing services, you need to be there, be accessible, and you need to be there 5 days a week, and it needs to be hours that work for the customer, not for the employee. For you city employees, get on track.
Thank you, Charles.
You hear that, city employees? No matter who you vote for,
Okay.
4-day
The
week
city has been
is gone.
criticized for its long approval timeline for development projects and inconsistent comments to developers. What do you plan to do about this?
This loaded question right here.
For a long time.
What do I get? Not 2.5 minutes? So, planning is a disaster. It is, and I've said it, I've screamed it out loud, I've been through it. Purposely over the last 6 months, with the CRA did the 2nd Street project. I took it, CRA chair never got as involved as I did, but I wanted to see the process, so I went to all the meetings. I was doing a variance on putting a pool in, and I was also doing an annexation on a piece of property coming into Sanford. And in that time frame, I saw the system, and the system is broken. It is continuously
We agree on that.
bogged down. You get inconsistent answers. I've equated it to this, that you send it in, the first thing they'll tell you is we got 30 days to review this. Well, if you're putting a fence up, 30 days to review a fence should not be at all. And then they'll wait till, and then they'll send you a load of questions, you answer those questions, and then they start reviewing it, and then you get a lot of questions, or you might even make it to a P&Z meeting and have it pulled back, or you might make it to the first
I am so glad that my dealings with the city are minimal.
reading at a commission, and it get pulled back. It is a disaster. It has to be fixed. One of the first things that I want to do with the help of the commission, if I get elected, is that I want to cut the review time in half. Whether that is making the employees actually work an extra day and do a little extra work and do their job, or if it's hiring more employees, we have to fix this problem. This is the reason that Sanford is not growing. This is the reason that we do not get to pick our development. We get the person who wants
Well, that and the poop water, but we're going to get to that.
to come in and spend the time to get beat up over a 6 to 8 month process, if you're lucky, to get to build your building. Go out on 46 right now, talk to every one of those people. Every single time I insure somebody or I see somebody building a building, I ask them one question. And I've asked this question for 23 years. How was your experience with the city of Sanford? I have never, not one time in all the times I've asked this question, been said, we enjoyed it. The guy I rent the building for out on Reinhardt, he has a lot next to him. I said, why don't you develop that? He goes, I will never go back through the city of Sanford's process. That has to be fixed. That will be my #1 focus as mayor.
So to be clear, not the
I
poop
agree
smell.
wholeheartedly. It is so frustrating, both in our experiences as individuals, and like I want to help people. So when people come to me going, Christina, oh my God, like what do I do? This is happening. I had enough money to start this business. I had no idea my permitting process was going to take 1.5 years, 2 years, 3 years. It's unbelievable. And like also communities talk. We know, like in this room, networking is real. So even trying to find good qualified developers and contractors, when they hear your project in Sanford, they're like, nah. There's also contractors who will charge a surcharge for Sanford projects because they know it's going to screw up their timelines and they are going to have to dedicate additional manpower to get the project through. It is absolutely atrocious. And I always talk about, we have good people, but bad systems. And I'll say I forget what they ended up calling the ombudsman job after they changed the description, but Amy's job is to really help that liaison through these processes, and she has brilliant ideas about cutting those times, doing different things that don't even cost additional money. It's changing systems. She's been in that position almost 2 years, and not a single one of her ideas has been brought to fruition. Accepting the status quo or saying this is the speed of government or this is how it is not acceptable. When you see people, and you guys know as business owners, you invest your life. You put second mortgages on your home to make these businesses happen. And when you go down the city and they go, oh, sorry, we don't know, or we forgot, and we'll put that on next commission meeting, or I waited through a 2.5-hour commission meeting and I got my item got pulled and it's going to be continued next month. It is killing these people's budgets and sacrificing everything they've done to make this happen. And we have to put an emphasis on changing those systems to make sure our business community thrives. Our entire nation has been built on the backbone of small business, and the way we treat small business owners here in Sanford has got to change.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you, Christina and Charles. All right. The wastewater treatment plant is beyond its useful life and creates a
Here we go.
significant odor which affects the downtown area and the quality of life for Sanford businesses and residents. What's your plan to address this?
This is a fun one. And also, like we talk about infrastructure, water quality, you know, there's so many different facets to that. So you've got, you know, stormwater issues that are different from drinking water quality issues that are different from our irrigation water issues that are different from our water plant issues. So they all tie in together, but they have different issues all around. I think that, again, I like to say those underlying systems, right? What is the common issue why all of these things aren't doing well? One, we're an older city and we have aging infrastructure, but it goes back to what both of us have been saying. We are not a proactive city. You know, we know things age. We know when things were built. Why are we waiting until they fail to take action? Why are we not transparent and proactive about the communication we have with citizens as important about things with water? And I hate calling people out, but the social media posts we have about when water mains break, the maps that we give our citizens, it is embarrassing. The kinds of information that comes out of a professional city's website to tell people that a water main has broke or that water issue.
Yes. Preach, lady, preach. Holy crap.
And hopefully you don't have water main break issues, but we have so many. How have they not created a policy about how to educate us about when something goes wrong? We have to address these issues. We have a high millage rate, we have extra funds and reserves, and if water quality and this bare minimum relationship that we have with the city should be this service, why is this not the highest priority of our city to make sure this is maintained properly and communicated transparently to the city? It has to change. I know we have great people in this department that are extremely knowledgeable about getting things done. We know the world is difficult to order parts from and get special manufacturing. So if we know all those things, we need to be proactive with our maintenance plans and make sure that we have contingencies to prepare for things as important as our water.
Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right. See, and
Going back to what you can beat up on the city when they deserve it. I will
Okay. This is where he and I are going to start disagreeing a lot.
tell you that when the sewer plant, the smell over there, so we have multiple areas over there. The one you were talking about is downtown. That is the oldest one. You know, the city has finally actually hired a manager and put somebody in utilities that knows what he's doing.
I live down the street from this shit. This literal shit, by the way.
I reached out to him.
Every morning when you see those bike rides that I take, everybody's like, oh, Zwain, I love your bike rides. Yeah, I go through those bike rides about 2 a month. I'll get some shit smell. It's been a minute now. It's been like probably about 2 weeks since I've smelled it. But trust me when I tell you, it smells like shit there sometimes, still.
And I said, hey, what do you got planned? Right now they have over the next 8 years or 6 years, they have $51 million worth of repairs that are going to be happening to that. When the smell was bad for like 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks?
It goes to what we were talking about being proactive and not reactive, is that they had
a pump go bad that they didn't have a spare one. So when that pump went bad, it took 6 to 8 weeks to get a new one made. They should have prepared and have one on the shelf. But regardless of that, they are moving forward. I do have to give that department credit right now. They are pulling grants. They're doing what they need to do. They are trying to fix that. Since that incident with the old stinky, as Spartine likes to call it, it's not sunk yet for all. Now, granted, the wind's been blowing the opposite direction, so we need to worry about when it starts coming from the north.
Yeah.
But they are trying to be proactive on that right now, and you can't beat them up all the time. It is an older system.
Why not? It's not fixed yet.
90% of what happens when it goes to water breaks and everything is in this area here. If you start
Not my fault they didn't plan.
getting on the Lake Murray Boulevard, you start getting in the newer neighborhoods, they're not having that problem. We have an infrastructure here that dates back over 100 plus years, so it is going to fail. And through the CRA, we have tried to upgrade as much as we could. Yes, it still floods when it rains, but I will be honest with you, it's not as bad.
This smells like when you're trying to get... I have a feeling he wants to keep the city manager, which is my biggest concern here. My biggest concern is that he wants to keep the city manager. The person that has that has gotten a raise after he's been there's been petitions for him to yes, by Christina, but like a very popular petition for him to resign. He ends up getting a raise. I got a feeling that this guy's going to do that. That's what I think.
15 years ago,
Mark my words, we'll have the same city manager and the same bullshit is going to happen if this guy gets elected. That's what I'm thinking.
storm of 2 inches and businesses would be floating through there. It's not great, and they still need to keep fixing it, but it's getting better, and that's fixing an old infrastructure. And we do have somebody at the city now that is accomplishing that, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with it so that problem gets taken care of.
All right, Chuck, we'll see.
Thank you. Okay. What do you think should happen to the lease with the Sanford Marina?
Sanford Marina's pretty.
It's time to take the marina back. That is 100%. Boy, always got based on that one. The marina is in horrible shape. Granted, they are trying to get grants to and FEMA in there. And yes, there's a lot of social media stuff going on that, but they've got a management team in there. We need to treat it like the golf course. The only way you're going to get an ROI on that marina to where it's going to make money is not have a management company in there that is taking off the top to pay for the management company.
Okay, I agree with you there.
That is one of our biggest assets out there. And that island is our biggest asset. And my goal, even as CRA, when I was trying to, we acquired that back, we just could never do it. I want the island back to the city. You're not going to get rid of the buildings out there, but I want that area to be with a brand new marina. I think the office needs to go out there, and that needs to be green space for parking. But we have to take the marina back to the management company, and I think their contract is coming up. That is something I will focus on wholeheartedly. I grew up in that marina. My first job was in that marina. I worked on at the marina. I worked on the romance. I've done it all. And so to see that the way it is now is very sad. And
I DJ'd there.
You walk down that beautiful river walk and you get up to that marina. Now, granted, hurricane did it, but we don't seem to have a fire under anything to get that done. And that is something we need to accomplish. The biggest hurdle was getting the last tenant out of there. They're gone. The next hurdle is going to be getting rid of F3. F3 is a Fort Lauderdale company. If you go down to their marina down there, they have cranes that pick the boats up, and that's a different market down there. We just need boat slips that generate rent and employees that take care of the marina and get it back to its glory days.
I think that it speaks so much about how important leadership and voting is when you use the marina and Marina Isle as an example. Let's talk about just the marina, but with same Marina Isle, it's a 100-year lease that we're halfway through. So we're still dealing with the bad choices of city leadership from 100 years ago to try and make things better. So we are restricted in some ways of what we can do with that space. But like you said, there is no urgency. It is a gem of our city, and I'm so tired about hearing about, Sanford's got so much potential. Sanford's a diamond in the rough. Pick us up out of the grass and polish us already. Why do we have such beautiful assets that are so underutilized? Every time I see a picture of Sanford, even from the city of Sanford, where it's a picture of our marina and a picture of the docks, I'm like, you ain't taken a picture in a long time, have you? We want to brag about these assets and showcase our city and use that
It's like a Tinder profile with an outdated picture.
as an image. But when you look underneath that image, we are not okay. And that should be a gem of our city, and there is not enough urgency and dedication to make that happen.
Thank you. The Sanford Civic Center has been the subject, talking about all the gems in Sanford, yes. The Sanford Civic Center has been the subject of much discussion in the community. Some want to preserve it as is, as the historic building. Others believe it would be better to redevelop it as a conference center to host corporate meetings and other events that would bring people and business in the downtown area. Where do you stand on this?
I think this may be one of the few that we differ on, actually. So I have to honor the shirt that's in my closet that pictures the Sanford Civic Center when we all got together to advocate for it before. It's a beautiful building. I know it's not super old in the world of history and old things, But it is amazing.
World of
It has
history and
wonderful
old things.
stories. Again, underutilized, not being performed at its full capacity. I would love to see parts of that. I'm okay letting go of the old chamber building, Monroe Hall. I think that one can be redeveloped in a whole new way that maybe services better the potential use of the Civic Center, but I would love to keep and maintain that building. I've also advocated, again, like I've talked about this, running a city is difficult. I don't think they should be in the job of managing an event facility. I think that maybe just maintaining the facility itself, because the city still owns the building, can fall under them, but I would love to see them outsource the management of that facility to someone who's actually a qualified event person. Like we have great things like, you know, the Venue 1902. It takes a full-time staff of quite a lot of people to properly run an event venue like that. People's expectations, especially for weddings, it requires a lot of service that I don't think the city is able to provide. I think there's still so much potential for that building if it was managed differently and had a different vibe and dedication to it. So I'm okay getting rid of Monroe Hall to service that corner in that area, but I'd love to see the preservation of that building and outsource of that management to somebody qualified to actually run events out of that facility.
So, Art, obviously, when she said we differ, at one point the CRA was looking to build a nice event center, and we got a lot of pushback on that. And then we came back and kind of said, let's take that building and keep the arch, because the arch is really what defines that, and leave the arch there and then build behind it. That building's actually been put on the historic registry, so it's not going anywhere. There's nothing we're going to do about that building. That building's going to stay. You're not tearing it down. You know, I don't disagree with you on when you say that we shouldn't be in the event venue business, but we should be in the event rental business, and that is allowing people a space to put on an event that they want. And that building, it's getting better, and they're getting better sound in there. It is a focal point. I mean, if you think about it, when that opened up in I think 1957 or 58, that was top notch. I mean, you know, Sanford has always come out of the gate very well at doing things the right way. We seem to lose things as we get going rolling with it, but we do come out of the gate well. In the 50s, that would have been a phenomenal building. You know, they probably could have turned it north and south instead of east and west with big windows, but you know, regardless of that. The building's not going anywhere. I would love to see us, you know, the CRA, we're putting some lighting in there. We did do before we sunsetted, we did do the whole back patio with pavers and everything to make it more feasible for people to utilize for weddings and stuff. I like what staff is doing with it. I don't think we should be an event venue, but I think we should have space that people can rent to have events in downtown, and that building fits that need right now. And it's not going anywhere.
Given the historical tensions between law enforcement and the community, how will you balance increasing police presence with building trust? And do you support specific alternative response models for nonviolent calls?
This is a great question, and like to their credit, they're here right now. They don't have to be here. They're here because they want to make sure that you know who they are in the community. The CRA has sponsored specific CRA officers to the downtown that were the same people all the time, that have different training. Because when you have an issue downtown, especially with our lively nightlife, and you get the same guy who knows the players, who knows the people, you're going to get a very different de-escalation and response from the police than if a county deputy shows up, right? So I think it's so important to have local police that understand and know the community and all the different aspects and needs. And of course, policing is contentious. We have history in our community.
What happened there?
Never whitewashed that. They've acknowledged it, and they have made so many efforts to be present in the community in different ways that are positive, so that you're not only seeing them when something goes wrong, you see them when you're doing something right.
So this is actually it's something that I wanted to talk about, because a couple of weeks ago I was at work, and one of the, I guess there was the shooting that we spoke about, I believe, happened the day before, and they were coming around, they were walking around like there was a gaggle of them just walking around downtown, and they stopped by where I work, and one of them came right to my DJ booth, and I'm like, whoa, because like I'm not used to talking to cops or anything like that, and it's a pretty small booth, so I got startled, and he looked at me and he's like, hey, I just, DJ sometimes, and I wanted to like, check it out. And I was like, I felt I was a little bit weirded out by it. I don't know what's going on here. So I was like, I was visibly like weirded out, and he was like, I could just leave if you don't want to. I was like, I just don't really talk to cops ever, so, sorry. And then as that was happening, my earbud falls off of my ear and tangles in his gun. So like we're in pretty close proximity. And I already get like sketchy because, I'm a brown guy living in a post 9/11 world, and, me and cops I don't know. I just don't need to talk to anybody that has a gun and the ability to ruin my life. If I don't know them, it's a stranger. It's just a stranger with more rights than I have. So that's the way I see it. But I will extend the olive branch that Christina is saying, because she and I disagree with a lot of policing stuff. But I will say that I do agree with her more on her non-aggression type of policing style, I think, from what she's about to say. Go.
I'm really proud of our police department. I think they're doing a great job at that, and I want to continue to support their efforts, because it's still unfathomable to me too. I joke about, at Hollerbach on a Saturday night, I may have 60 people working on a Saturday night, and the city of Sanford's police department for the entire city has 10.
That's wild to me. She told me that when we were hanging out, that that Hollerbach hires more people than Sanford PD, and that still to this day is a mind-blowing fact.
That they're prepared, that they have collaboration with other departments, because we have a huge city with lots of different needs, but I think it's just as important to have them staffed and available as it is to have them trained in how to handle lots of issues. And especially with our unsheltered, it's not always substance abuse, it's mental, it's trauma. If they respond to people in a way that understands their needs and their background, we can get better solutions for people. So that focus on education and training officers to handle specific situations is paramount for community development.
I guess I agree with that for the most part. I would definitely be less apprehensive to talk to be less apprehensive if it was dealt more like that.
On that, the thing about it is our police department, if you see them on social media, if you see them out and about, they are here today. The CRA did fund 2 officers to be within the downtown CRA district during the whole time of our CRA. We actually did it in about 2010, and those officers have stayed on, got moved over to the city budget, they're still there. Our officers do neighborhood policing, and they go out and they go out and they get to know the people. Back it used to be 10 years ago, you would you fix crime by starting with your youth. And it used to be back in the day that you would start about 10 to 12 years old, and that's when you start building the relationships. It's now in kindergarten. We are now, because of social media and everything, we're actually having to start building relationships with the children and all that to let them know police aren't bad at kindergarten, which is crazy, because you would think a 5-year-old would be the most innocent soul out there and would not have learned anything negative. I'm very proud of how the police department manages to take the time to meet people. They do their little videos, they do things to let them know that they're not the enemy, and that's the key part right there. Is they're there to help. I think you had something else about response time for. It was
Alternative response. So
alternative response, yes.
I don't know that alternative response is the smartest thing, because you never know what a call is going to escalate into, and I think when you dial 911, you should get the full response of what you need, because you don't know what's going to happen. And so alternative, I don't agree with that at all. I think you need to make sure that you're getting police, fire, whatever you need for that call.
Yeah,
but I am very proud of what the Sanford Police Department has done.
Disagree.
They have picked up
Completely disagree.
Of carrying through the time.
Totally disagree. Slow down. Come on, you're the best. Calm down. Calm down.
Back to the water quality and infrastructure. Recent EPA data confirms ongoing health-based violations in Sanford's water supply, including chlorate and hard word. Will you commit to upgrading filtration technology immediately, and how will you find these improvements without disproportionately raising rates for low-income residents?
it goes back to what I said earlier. The utilities department is earmarked over $51 million over the next 6 years to do that, and filtration is in there. It is really just getting ourselves ahead of the game. Back when they had the person prior to the current management in there, they were just putting Band-Aids on everything, and they were not getting out in front of what they needed to do to get the systems up to current. The new person is doing that, and I think I think you're going to see a big change on that, regardless of who gets elected, because that's in motion. As a mayor, I will make sure that that continues, that the funding is there, that we're getting the federal grants and everything that we need to get that done. But I think we're headed in the right direction when it comes to that.
And also, like, that contamination issue was technically not our fault, and there is an ongoing lawsuit. I don't know actually if it got settled or not about how the water got contaminated. So even once they became aware of that and they tested those things, they engaged with that lawsuit. They held them accountable. They, took the action necessary to get it back under approved parameters as soon as possible. So they did respond to that as best as they could, although it was unfortunate that it happened. I kind of go back to like transparency though and communication. Like, we shouldn't be finding out about these things on the news. I think that we need to be more proactive as a city about being transparent and communicating with people as these are occurring. What's happened? How did we resolve this? Because unless you're going to every commission meeting or doing public records requests about an ongoing lawsuit, or waiting till it blows up on Sanford 327 and you find it on West 2, those are not the ways that you should be getting information.
Yeah.
So I think we can help alleviate a lot of that drama and fear that comes with the unknown by being the source of information accurately and first before it gets to that kind of point of hysteria.
Major projects like the 420-unit Tuscany Village and Riverbend Landings are set to complete in 2026. How will you ensure this influx of residents does not overwhelm our roads and schools, and what specific affordability mandates will you require for future developments?
So this one's complicated, and the city of Sanford, and all cities, we're an ecosystem, right? So when it comes to traffic and development, some of these issues you're talking about are outside of city limits, or the road is maintained by the county or the state. So to me, it also goes back to being a collaborator and making sure you have a seat at that table. Because even though you don't necessarily have exact control over the choices that they make, you need to know what's going on. You need to be at that table. So I would definitely make sure that Sanford is present, and we're not just like, oh, that's not on me, that's somebody else's job. Like, no, whose job is it? And are we there? Do we know what's happening? So I think that collaboration level when it comes to especially traffic concerns and overdevelopment. But right now, like, we're not getting a lot of developers because no one wants to come here. So we have to make sure we're maintaining the ones that we have and taking care of those resources. But for me, it really is about that communication factor. Like, how is this actually affecting each other? What are the needs? We have school board here. Are the schools ready? Sanford just has to sit at those tables and have those conversations. It's going to happen. That growth is going to be there, whether we like it or not. And it's how we handle it, who we work with, and how easy it is to work with us. That's going to make those choices and decisions easier as a community. And was there anything else in that one? I feel like I missed something.
Future income.
Oh, affordable housing. There we go. I know that there's one more. I am such a big supporter of affordable housing. I know that's very complicated, but that also goes back to that public-private partnership, right? The city cannot make these huge mandates about every apartment complex has to have this one thing. Like, those are building codes, those are state issues, and we can advocate again for those and be at those tables, but some of that is out of our control. But there are so many wonderful organizations like Homes for Good and Habitat for Humanity that are having amazing programs about understanding your budget, learning how to buy your own home, and having starter areas where they can get you back on your feet and get you those tools. So a city can't do all of that. So if there's organizations that already exist in our community that are doing it, fund them. Help them find property that's not being used and give it to these people that are gonna put it to good use. I don't expect this Heritage Park site to be all affordable housing. Yes, that would be lovely, but it's unrealistic to ask it of a developer. So what other areas in Sanford aren't developed, that we can work with those partners and make that happen together.
We just have to we don't have relationships. The city does not have a relationship with the county. We don't work well. We don't play well with others. We don't take the time. There will be meetings that they'll be having a meeting about something and nobody from the city will show up. Or somebody was supposed to show up and only one person will get there and then nothing happens. Majority of all the infrastructure and everything is not just the city, as Christina pointed out. Some of it's the state, some of it's the county. But if we're not going and sitting with them and learning how we can all work together, then you're just getting what you get, and you really can't complain about it. When it comes to affordable housing, the county just put in, I think, $1.5 million into a program for affordable housing. The city has, over in the Goldsboro area, they have the federal area that they've taken them down. That's fixing to be starting into housing as well. We've got a project over here, I think it's called Georgetown Terrace, I think is what the name is. I got it wrong, I apologize. But you do have that coming up. And now the nice thing about affordable housing now is affordable housing doesn't look like affordable housing. That project over there, if you drove by it, you would just think it's another apartment complex. I do feel like we've gotten overloaded with apartments, but I also think apartments have a need. If you're looking at the Lake Mary corridor around the Publix and everything, that they're looking for heads and beds to start sustaining that area out there, and that's going to be an area that apartments would probably be a need of right now if there was one in there. But if you go down 46 right now, there are a lot of apartments down 46. I mean, and then you go down to Reinhardt. I would say in that area we would probably need to start pulling back a little bit and saying, listen, what else do we need to get out here that is not apartments? Apartments are very hard on infrastructure, and they do tax the schools and tax everything on that. But if you're working with the county, you're working with the state, you're working with everybody, then you can solve those problems as well.
Thank you so much. All right. The city has been charged with transparency, responsiveness, and accountable issues by candidates. Can you provide a concrete example of a recent decision the current administration where you would have acted differently to increase public trust?
Here we go.
A current issue for transparency.
Where you would have acted differently.
That's like a trick question there. I mean, realistically, going back, and he's sitting in front of me because I happened to be there when he was there, I wish that the commission at times would do their homework a little more in the beginning, where somebody is coming in, whether they're getting a permit or whether they're coming from a P&Z, and we tend to go in and
But that's not what he
make
did.
a decision after this. They're there for an approval, and we pull the approval. I wish we would get behind staff and stand behind staff's decision.
It's a good
Even
pivot.
though it's wrong. And,
He didn't have an example.
This is a hard
Solid
one to
pivot.
go with. I'm trying to pull an example out of the air, and I'm just failing at it miserably. I'm gonna have to. Just say,
You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that.
Now to do it without just talking circles.
An example.
Yeah, I just can't.
You could have landed it, man. Come on, Chuck.
I'm gonna go. I'm going to talk about the fire tax assessment, and it was a little while back now, but I'm sure people remember because you got this thing in the mail that said, "Hey, this is going up in front of commission. We want to raise these rates. We can basically also raise them at any time, and if you don't do it, we'll take away your house." Right? It was
Jesus.
it was a crazy letter. So obviously, that's how it was. That's how it was briefed, right? So people got their hackles up. Like if I could imagine people with pitchforks and torches, that's what City Hall looked like when that got presented. And I feel that it's not just that, I mean, I think the commission made the right choice. I wouldn't have made a different decision. I would have made a very different approach. And when somebody came up and talked about that letter, Mr. Woodruff said, "Oh, well, that was what we legally had to say." That's not good enough. Saying that, like, I did the bare minimums of legal requirement and you should be happy with that.
Well,
no.
yeah.
So I think, like, if that is honestly something that you wanted to test the waters or get feedback from the community, you shouldn't have done it as a legal notice to your citizens. have a forum, ask people how they feel about it, educate them about the difference of how this could work, where that money would go to, why you need that money over this other thing. Especially, you know, as we talk about homestead and losing some possible income, we don't want to lose, you know, safety and public services. So if these are other possible ways of funding, it does make sense for a city to be proactive and look into these issues. But the way that it was communicated to the citizens, the way that it was conducted was so wrong. So if I would have made a different decision as mayor, it definitely would have been how I approached the citizens about exploring opportunities of funding when it comes to fire taxes.
Yeah. Well played. Well said.
I just want to thank you both so much for being here. I want to thank you both for your support of the Sanford Chamber, because you're both amazing supporting members of the Chamber, and I appreciate you both so much. And I'd like to give you the opportunity to just make a closing statement, and then we'll talk about some other opportunities to come and hear you guys and speak to you guys that are going on in the future.
I want to talk about my why, because, you know, even having run before, people would ask you, hey, you're going to run again? I was going, and I always say, hey, not right now, but I'm never going to say never, right? Because that feeling is in me all the time. And I think, as I always talk about, the commission to me is like a board of directors, and our CEO is our city manager, right? So I'm the president of a board, and I'm trusting my CEO to do this job. And right now, as being a former CEO, I know what it means to do that job, and I know how to affect culture. So when I interact with the city and I see people distraught, irritated at their own systems, the CEO in me goes, oh my God, I want to fix this. But that is not what a mayor and commission does. So I kind of almost discouraged myself from running, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like that role, because I like to be the doer. I like to be that CEO that fixes a problem, and that's not what a mayor does, that's a city manager. So the more I thought about it, the more I went to meetings and went on task force. I had to change how I feel about myself and how I feel about that position before I chose to do this, because I needed to make sure, can I be effective as mayor and not get fatigued and not get, you know, frustrated. And I understand so much better now about what that role can be, and working with the commission as it stands now, I think we have the power to make those changes within our city manager and within our systems that will fix the issues that make people so distraught and uncomfortable. I want people to feel proud about where they work. I want people to feel proud about where they live. And I want people to, when they are out in the community and they talk about doing a project, instead of going, oh God, I can't do a project in Sanford, I want them to go, oh, I'm so excited that I get this opportunity to work here. That is the feeling that I want to create in the city of Sanford as mayor, and I'm so excited to do that work, even though I know it will be extremely difficult.
Well said. Well said.
For me, I think Sanford right now has two areas right now of growth left in the county. The majority of the county is built out for the most part. Sanford has Lake Mary Boulevard corridor, which is going to tie into Volusia County, and then we have the industrial corridor, which is over off of St. John Parkway in that area. Those two corridors right now are going to pretty much define the last of the in Sanford at this time. And I think you're going to switch into redevelopment of areas like the redevelopment of 1792 and areas like that. As the mayor, the city manager is definitely running the city, but the mayor is a figurehead, and the mayor goes out and puts people together. Where I do very well is knowing who to reach out to get something done. Right now, you have developers that want to develop, and you've got area that needs to be developed, and that's a perfect marriage. For the manufacturing area of it, we've got, right now within Sanford, you've got the 429, I-4, 417, 46 to 95, an airport, a train track. We have everything that people try to copy. I mean, I always laugh and say about Altamont Springs. Altamont Springs took a retention pond and turned it into a waterfront. We have a waterfront that we have never, sorry to talk, we have a waterfront that we have not taken advantage of. And we have things that people don't have. We have just never been able to fully run with it and do it the right way. As mayor, I will make sure that we do it the right way. And we get the development we want, we get the development we need, and we start working with other municipalities and other groups so that we can continue to grow.
We're going to wrap it up. And I would just want to thank Shara and the Brewlando crew for just automatically, as soon as I asked the question, she was like, absolutely, we would love to host this. The city of Sanford is the biggest city in the county in Seminole County. We have such an amazing community.
Anyway, that was the
I can't encourage
that
you
was the
enough
thing.
to
Shout out to the Sanford Chamber of Commerce, and they did a great job. Trisha, who was officiating or was emceeing, I guess, the event. Shout out to her and the rest, everybody. Brewlando, Anastasia, Shara, everybody there did a great job. I'm very glad that there is another one of these happening. It's this one's going to be a proper debate. And it is going to be at the Civic Center, and it's going to be held by the Sanford Main Street. So shout out to Sanford Main Street. Anyway, that's the show. Thanks for hanging out. And that's really it, man. This was the longest. I'm pretty sure this was the longest show we've done. Well, my name is DJ Zwain. You can find me anywhere on social media at DJ ZOUAIN. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, all that jazz. Follow the Sanford Sitdown. Follow Sanford Sitdown on all the aforementioned social medias. We are on YouTube. We are on TikTok. We are on Facebook. So thanks for being a part of it. And until next time, until episode 12, I'll check you next time. Peace.